Mark, what does this mean?
Well, I think what it means is that these programs are becoming obsolete, and for many reasons. Number one, I think we're seeing the repercussions of the Snowden incident from 2013 when Edward Snowden revealed these techniques. He really burned the government's techniques, and therefore we see the terrorists and other threat actors move to other platforms, and it coincides with the emergence of these secure messaging platforms we've seen over the years, in the recent years, like Signal and WhatsApp, and therefore these programs just don't serve the purposes of national security anymore, and therefore they just are not serving the purpose of defending our country, and they've also raised a number of privacy issues.
So what do security officials look at now? I mean, is it looking at apps like Signal? Where do they find the threats?
Well, I think as I just mentioned, the threat actors are looking to hide their communications. So certainly any program that touches U.S. companies, such as these programs did with the telecommunications industry, or even the large internet service providers such as Google, Facebook, and others, they're going to avoid communications. So government intelligence agencies are going to have to step up their game as well. And I don't think they're going to be able to rely on the cooperation of the private sector anymore for their intelligence purposes. What
about other collection methods like Prism and the backdoors into U.S. technology companies?
Yeah, well, I think the key to programs like those were cooperation with the private sector, and more and more companies are seeing that this is a privacy issue, that they don't want to be associated with those programs. The interesting thing is, on a daily basis, platforms like Google and Facebook and others collect probably 10 times the intelligence that these other programs did from even 5 or 10 years ago. So you're going to see them disassociating themselves more and more, while in the cyber industry, we're trying to enhance cooperation between the public and private sector globally. When it comes to the privacy of people's information, companies just want it to be legal and to be above board. So eavesdropping and things like that just aren't accepted anymore. So the government is going to have to change their techniques, and hopefully they are, to the point where it's serving the national security purposes in a way that the bad guys don't find out about.
So given that, let's not kid ourselves. Can't the U.S. government just find other ways to surveil U.S. citizens if they want to?
I think we live in a country where, luckily, privacy matters. And despite what we hear about on both sides of the political aisle, the U.S., unlike other countries, I think really does do this for the purpose of national security, not to pry into privacy issues. I think if this conversation was happening in other countries, Emily, that we wouldn't be having the privacy issue. It would just be more about what information can they get and how can we get it quicker and faster.
So if this program goes away, do you think anything really replaces it, or it just becomes obsolete?
Well, I think it becomes obsolete because of the technology, of course. Again, the bad guys know that this metadata is being analyzed and correlated by the U.S. government. So why would they call people in the U.S., which is the nature of the program, right? Analyzing phone numbers and timestamps on U.S. phone records and text messages. So they're just not using that. So the value, I hope there's metrics that are tied to it, really, and that will really prove whether the programs are worthwhile or not. But the threat actors are moving to these secure messaging platforms and even social media programs as well.
Is anything really secure, though? Like when Signal says the messages are encrypted, are they really?
Well, encryption is nearly impossible to break. I know there's government agencies that are trying to do that, and even private sector organizations that try to break encryption, but it's pretty hard to do. However, nothing is secure to be 100% secure, to answer your question, and there's always ways around it. Social engineering, compromised credentials, those are the weak links that can be always be compromised.